If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Here we go. This is episode 426 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abul-Samad of Telemetry, from Telemetry, something like that.
Telemetry?
Telemetry.
I am Nicole Waysman with Top Speed of Top Speed at Top Speed.
And I'm Roberto Baldwin of Everywhere.
Ooh.
And SAE International, which is international, which is everywhere.
That is true.
Planet.
Yeah. Well,
Antarctica,
I mean,
I'm
SAE
there.
is also involved in aerospace. Engineering,
medical stuff.
Yeah. So, there's rocket scientists that are part of SAE and, they write, rocket papers and satellite stuff.
So we have a plethora of actual magazines at SAE. They go out to members and to folks who just want magazines. And one of them
printed on paper and everything?
Printed on paper. And
wow.
like I write articles that end up in printed magazines. They get shipped out to, I don't know, a bunch of people. One of the magazines is Medical Briefs, Medical Design Briefs. It is for people in the medical field. Somehow, I'm not sure how, I'm on the list for that.
I get that one too.
Yeah, so I get the Medical Design Briefs. Okay. And I try to get it to my wife who works in the medical field. She's like, I don't want to read that. She's like, I'm at home.
Not my thing.
I'm at home. I don't. So yeah, so there we have automotive engineering and off-highway and plane and tech briefs, but we also have medical stuff. So
there you go, a little bit of everything.
We got our thumbs in every pie.
Speaking of pies, have you had any lately, Nicole?
No, I haven't. I did have some cake this week though, because it was Russ's birthday. I bought a tiramisu cake. It was pretty tasty at Whole Foods. It was really yummy. It's good cake. I wanted to give their cakes a try. Highly recommend Whole Foods tiramisu cake, people. It's yummy.
So wait, tiramisu.
Normally, it's just it's like, I don't know, like
it's tiramisu, yeah.
It's
so it's just a bunch of layers.
So imagine it's
stuff.
Layers of it, so it's bigger, and they use cake, and you still do the coffee flavor with the cream and the like Coke, really heavy.
There's still
cocoa
the lady
powder.
fingers in there somewhere.
I think there were some lady fingers around, like in one layer, but there's like the really dark cocoa, they sprinkle on top, like that layer of cocoa, and it's like soaked with the coffee thing. So it's like it's tiramisu cake in cake form. It's yummy.
Everything's cake form now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what have you been driving, Nicole?
I have been driving the Ford Mustang Mach-E Rally, which is really fun. So I haven't driven a Mach-E in a while. I just haven't. And so this one comes in my driveway, and it is Velocity Blue Metallic. So it's really, really bright. And instead of I think it's standard with these sort of white wheels, there's like a black wheel, and they're very like aerodynamic. So they look like plates. They're just flat and saucer shaped. Like there's not a lot of texture to them. And it says Rally on the side, and it has like this black hood graphic, and it has like a crazy real spoiler. This thing looks ridiculous sitting in the driveway. It's really cool. I'm like, oh, that looks. At first, I'm like, this looks totally overdone, and then I stared at it. I'm like, I kind of love this. Like, it looks really good, and it has the puddle lights that look like the little Mustang logo. When you,
the galloping
that's cool.
pony.
the galloping pony. I was going to say prancing pony. I'm like, that's not right.
That's
wrong company.
That's a whole other company.
It's like, that's not the right
like,
company.
oh, hey, I'm dancing.
Yeah, this one isn't dancing. This one is like, I am fat.
Fromage?
What?
Anyway, there's a name for dancing. Dressage, dancing horses.
Dressage? But they don't really dance on their back legs. They dance on all four, like.
Well, those are weak ass lame.
These are the Ferraris, the fancy Italian dressage.
The fancy
pony.
one, yeah. That's the robust,
they're
dancing
dancing horses.
Yeah, they're doing the thriller dance back and forth. That's what it's in the middle of the thriller dance. You know, where he puts the paws off. What? That's paws. It's hooves. Hoofs. It's hooves goes up. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my God, that really does look like that. Now
anyway, that's the Ferrari prancing pony.
Mine was not. Mine was the galloping Mustang look with all just arg.
Yeah,
this is super fun to drive. I really enjoyed this, and it has, you know, the people that argue about, because this is the EV. If in case anyone doesn't know, the Mustang Mach-E is an EV. The Rally is the fancy, tricked out, like I'm going to go rally in the dirt in this version of it. I don't think I would do that, probably. I mean, you can, and people did, because when they launched this, I remember seeing people going out in the dirt and driving this and having their good old time. But can I just share with you? So the highway suddenly came to a stop not that far from our house, and it's like 4 lanes, and then there's this grass, like, median, and then there's the turn lanes. And if I caught that the traffic was backing up because there was some kind of issue right at my exit, I could have just taken that exit as one of those that will let you go straight through, come out the other side, and keep going. And I could have just buzzed right by. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. And then I was like, oh, wait, if I just drove over this little median. And I was like, wait, how big is the curb? Well, this is the Rally version. I'm like, I don't think so. But literally, I'm watching like... I was watching like
there's
pickup
not
trucks
a lot of curves
and
in the wild.
Wranglers.
I'll just say,
it was like pickup trucks and Wranglers and Broncos are all like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, no,
it's important to keep in mind when you have the Mach-E Rally that despite the fact that this thing has been styled to look kind of like a 1980s, early 90s rally car with those fancy white wheels and the big spoiler on the back, it still only has 5.9 inches of ground clearance.
Exactly. I was like, for all that it can do it in the dirt. And I was looking at the curb,
unless you really want to scrape that battery pack.
Yeah, it was not fair. And I'm like, how big is that curb? I'm like, too big. I did not do it. I did not. Ford, if there are issues with your car, I did not hop the little grassy median to go through traffic in the breakdown or in the exit lane. But so it's to the point, it's Rally, but like if you're going to drive in the dirt and have fun with it, but you don't want to drive over anything other than dirt in it, like larger pebbles, a small curb, don't do that because it really just doesn't have the clearance for it. Otherwise, though, this is incredibly fun. It looks fabulous. It's very fun to drive. It has lots of power. It has 480 horsepower, 700 pound-feet of torque. So, you know, it goes. It's not a very big vehicle, so it's really fun. It has the extended range battery, which is the only way that you can get this one, which is 265 miles of range. When I fully charged it sitting in my driveway here, and it's been chilly, it's not quite giving me 265. It keeps charging fully charged and is saying it's like around 258, 259. So it's not giving me, but it's cold.
It adjusts the estimate for your ambient temperature.
Yeah, and it's
also
it's
how you
definitely
drive.
cold. Yeah.
If you have
that's true. I mean, if you're
like
consistently
that.
driving over highway medians and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's
I
gonna,
didn't drive over it.
If you
I
always
restrained
put it in
myself.
sport mode or rally mode, it's gonna
I
But then
didn't-
like someone else gets in and they adjust it. Like when I'm driving back from LA because you're driving against a headwind, I'm doing 85 because I just want to get home. So I'm flying. The first few days when I get back, Ioniq 5 tells me that the maximum range is like 235
maximum
miles.
range 1 mile.
Because I was driving it like a bat out of hell. Because I just want to get home. It's usually how it works.
I was driving it responsibly. So it was coming in slightly less, but it has gotten cold. Like it was in the 20s here last night. So I think the temperature dropped. And I think that the cold is starting to make things know that it's cold. So like every plant in my yard is completely dead now. Battery doesn't get the same range. That's how you know. You're like, oh, your battery's not going to get the right range. Look at the plants. You're in trouble.
Your garden, your battery.
Right. Oh, but it's very fun. I mean, it's a fun little car. There's seating for 5. I think it has 3. I was trying to think 3 in the back, but that tells you how tight the back looks. It's like, wait, is this a 2 or a 3 in the back seat? Like, it's not a very big back seat. There's not a lot of clearance for your legs, for your knees.
Your 3 children. It's for your 3 children.
Yeah, like really,
like young children, not like they're in their 30s and you're taking
not
them
30-year-olds, like little kiddos. But it is super fun to drive. I love the big screen that they have. It's very easy to drive. The power, you have that exactly what you expect from an EV. You press the accelerator, the thing moves, and it handles beautifully. It really does have fantastic handling. That's where you kind of feel the sporty, like you're not going to go over rocks and stuff with this. Probably none of you are going to actually go rally driving in this, but it does give you that extra little bit of handling. Like it handles a little bit better. You feel the sportiness in it. It is, if you enjoy driving, it's a very engaging drive. Some EVs, they're all fast. They all accelerate really fast. That impressive torque, but they don't all handle in an engaging way. Like sometimes I can find EVs sort of flat. They're so mellow, and because there's no engine, because there's no rumble, because there's nothing. This was still pretty engaging. So I thoroughly enjoyed driving this. I thought it was really fun. Pricing is not cheap, but it's not crazy. I put it together online, so it's $63,170. Yeah, so not cheap. But what do you want to take a guess?
Less than a Wagoneer S.
Yeah, less than a Wagoneer S. Unless you're taking advantage now, I think you can get a Wagoneer S for like 35 cents. But what do you think the destination is on the Mustang Mach-E Rally?
What did I say, 18? I think I said 18.
You said 18? Oh,
1995.
Sam, you cheated, didn't you? Do you have a Ford?
I just remember from the last time.
What do you have? I'm like, does he have a Ford this week? And he knows?
No, I do not.
It's like he's cheating. Oh, Sam wins, but I feel like he's cheating. Robbie, I'm giving it to you anyway. I get to say who wins on my guess.
Robbie has the memory of a gnat, so he wins.
You could have another Ford car.
Participation
like, you could have the same
award.
car next week. I'd be like, I don't know, $1,400. I'll forget. So the Mustang Mach-E Rally, it's really fun. If you want that sporty kind of flair, I feel like this is a lot about style, not just like looking pretty, but like it's got the sports seats and it's this cool like white plastic kind of thing in the back of the sports seats. It's look really striking. It just looks good. Like it's the kind of car people look at it, not because it's a Mustang, not because it's an EV, because it just looks like a fun little sporty car. And it is fun to drive. I enjoyed it. It was a fun little car to drive. Thumbs up. I think it's a little on the pricey side, but you're paying for that extra sportiness, that extra handling, that extra performance, the suspension, all of it is a little bit sportier. I guess if I was looking for that, I mean, I would buy this if I was buying an EV and looking for something fun and sporty. This definitely fits the bill. And the colors, this Velocity blue metallic is fabulous. I love the color. I think I like blue cars. That's my thing at the moment. So that's the Ford Mustang Mach-E Rally.
Have you driven the XRT, the Ioniq 5?
Yes, I have.
Which one would you get, the Mach-E Rally, or would you get the
Am
Ioniq
I being
5?
practical? Practically, or just for fun of driving?
For fun of driving.
Fun of driving. I think I like the Mustang. It was more. If I'm being practical, I feel like the XRT is more practical. I just think space wise and stuff, there's a little more. The rear
so
seats
much
are a little,
room,
right? Like if you want,
if you're actually going to take it on a trail, like not obviously not rock crawling,
right?
But like taking it on a trail, out to your cabin or something. The XRT is a much better choice because it's got quite a bit more ground clearance. It's got just about 7 inches of ground clearance, not a lot more, but it's enough more.
It has I think that the XRT is a more practical, versatile choice. If you want to have a little fun with it, you want to go off-road with it, but you need something can actually comfortably seat people in the back and hold a bunch of cargo. The Mustang, like the gas Mustang, is just like, I want pretty car goes fast. That's kind of what it is. It's fun. It looks great. It makes you feel good driving it. But practically speaking, it's not the most practical vehicle in the world. So there you go.
And the XRT charges a lot faster too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
There's that
too. Limited
too.
to about 150 kilowatts with the Mach-E.
Yeah. So so there's reasons why you would. There's reasons. It's the thing, this car's better, that car's better. Well, it depends what you want. You know, what's your goal? They're both great cars, but what's your goal? So
what you want? Yeah, a reminder that
Chihuahua.
rally is not off-roading. It's not the same thing.
No,
it is off-road. It's like it's dirt road racing.
It's
driving
it
fast
can be off-road
in the dirt. Yeah,
it's not always off-road.
It's not always, but if it's off-road,
like
it's driving fast
yeah.
just in dirt. It's driving fast on roads that often, like some rally road, like some of those roads, like you don't have to have a rally car to do it.
They're not necessarily paved.
Right. They're just dirt, but they're still roads mostly, right?
Look up rally racing. You'll see the craziest stuff you've ever seen in racing.
They're insane.
It is the most insane racing.
Especially look up Group B rally.
Yeah. Is that the craziest of them?
Look at, watch some of those clips. This is from the mid 1980s. And, in those days, for some insane reason, rally organizers, they didn't put up any barriers along the rally stages. And you can see film of people standing literally right next to the dirt, like inches away
right there.
from these 650 horsepower 4-wheel drive Group B rally machines, that are flying by at 150 miles an hour on a dirt road. Yeah. It's bonkers. And
you still see people do that in rally driving where the crowd is very, very close to these crazy corners and the cars you see them doing the sideways sort of jump on purpose over, like they come around a corner, they catch some air, they come back down and I'm like, oh God. And they're like so close as they slide around that corner to humans. And the humans are just like, yeah, sure, we're good. I'm like, dude, move back. But yeah, it's very fun. So you could do that in your Mustang. But you probably don't want to go on like rugged stuff. Just go really fast in the dirt.
All right.
There we go.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. Well, I have the same vehicle that you had last week, Nicole. I have the Ram 1500 Hemi.
What'd you think?
I mean, it does indeed sound great when you hit the start button.
I told you.
And it's been averaging about 16.5 miles per gallon.
Sounds right.
So it is a thirsty beast.
Yes. But it sounds good.
It does sound good. It does sound good. Not inexpensive. The one I have is a Longhorn. Which tab?
Longhorn, Bighorn. Isn't it Bighorn?
Longhorn.
Longhorn's
Bighorn. Bighorn, yes.
Bighorn, yeah.
Like Longhorn's
I'm thinking
the actual
Longhorn
cattle.
because I was in Austin the other day.
Oh yeah, they're the Longhorns.
And they're really long horns, like huge
They're
horns.
Scary the first time you see those. Yeah.
Well, when we pulled into the lunch stop, we were driving the Hyundai Palisade hybrid, and when we got to the lunch stop, there was about half a dozen cows standing there right by the gate, including one that had horns that probably spanned about 4.5, 5 feet across.
Did you stare him down? You're like, I'm going to take you out in this Palisade, dude. Move it.
I would not want to mess with that guy.
Me neither.
That's some serious horn action.
A cow, a bull, it will mess you up. Having to deal with steers was already enough when I worked on the school farm. Like a bull,
I
like,
forget
you
that
can't
you're
have
like
that. You can't
Farmer
have
Roberto.
that here. You can't have that here. It was like this cool thing. Like, no,
No, not going to do that.
yeah, you're not going to have bulls in the school.
Well, anyway, this is a Bighorn, a Ram 1500 Bighorn crew cab 4x4. So This is kind of, a middle trim level of the Ram 1500. It's got cloth seats. It doesn't have the front bench, so it's got a console and a 12-inch center touchscreen, and has the rotary shifter instead of a column shift. If you get, I think, tradesman with the bench seat, it starts at $52,430. This one had a number of options on there, including that 5.7 liter V8 Hemi with e-torque. That is $2,895.
That's a lot.
So
it
that's
comes with the TIM badge on there. Don't forget
it does have the TIM badge.
Yeah,
A very prominent TIM badge on there, and the TIM badge looks pretty cool. I will give Tim that. He's got a cool looking badge that they designed for him. And this one also has the Ram boxes and the multifunction tailgate that opens up in a couple of different ways. Although I haven't been able to figure out how to actually get it to open sideways. I can't find the latch for that, and I can't be bothered looking in the owner's manual because I don't need it.
it's not your truck. You need to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not towing anything or hauling anything particularly long in the bed that I want to hang out just one side of the tailgate. So 395 horsepower, 410 foot-pounds of torque, which is less than the standard output Hurricane, and it sucks down a lot more gas than a Hurricane. Like I said, this thing it's rated at 16 city, 20 highway, 18 combined. I've been doing mostly highway driving with it and averaging 16.5 miles per gallon. And I'm not driving this thing at 85 miles an hour. So, it's, and my past experience with Hemi Rams is that they almost never match the rated fuel economy. They typically underachieve on that. So be prepared. If you must have the sound of a Hemi, and more power to you if you feel that. They did make when they brought back the Hemi this year, they made the GT exhaust standard with that, so that that's going to cost you both up front when you buy it and every time you stop at a gas pump. It's going to cost you because it's like I said, it's a thirsty engine. There's a reason why they discontinued it in the first place. But other than that, it's a good truck. It's still of the light duty full size pickup trucks, it still has the best driving dynamics. It's got good ride quality. It's the only one with a coil spring rear end. It's handles reasonably well. It's got the nicest interior of any of the full size trucks by a pretty wide margin. And
it's a pretty nice truck to drive. The Rams
it is.
Yeah.
If you want a truck as a full size truck as a daily driver, it's kind of hard to beat the Ram 1500.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I mean, except for miles. Yeah.
Well, yeah, except for that whole fuel economy
driving. Yeah. Man.
And which reminds me, it wasn't that long ago that I had the Ram 2500, which averaged 17.5 miles per gallon. So a full mile per gallon better for the heavy duty versus this one. Of course, that was the Cummins diesel, but still it's going to cost you if you want the Hemi. So grand total on this one came to $64,970. And we've talked about it before, but can you remember the destination charge for this?
Like 2,300, 2,400.
2,000 something.
What's your official guess, Nicole?
Oh, can I just say 2,000? $2,295.
$2,595.
I literally had it last week and I can't remember.
I was off by $2,000 and I still won, and it's still like a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
Expensive.
$600 for destination.
Ridiculous.
On these things. Somewhat to their credit, Stellantis was the last of the Detroit automakers to raise the destination charges on their full-size trucks to $2,595. Ford went first, and then GM, and then Stellantis. And now it's just Toyota that's still charging a mere $2,095 for the Tundra.
A mere?
Nothing.
It's a bargain. Save $500 on destination charge. So, it's a good truck, and, it does all the truck stuff. And, Ram is the only one that has the Ram boxes, which are a pretty cool feature if you need someplace to store stuff, to store small, some tools or other supplies and things like that. So you get these 2 boxes on either side of the bed, that have a decent amount of space in there. So it's good for that. So yeah, I mean, anything you need to do with a full-size truck, this can do, including towing a whole bunch, and hauling a bunch of stuff. So
There you go.
I think that's all we really need to say about the 2026 Ram 1500 Big Horn Crew Cab 4x4.
Yeah.
With Hemi.
With Hemi, with Tim badge.
And the Tim badge. Did you drive anything, Robbie?
I didn't drive nothing. I should have gone to that thing that you went to, but I didn't go because I had stuff to do. And then, I didn't drive a thing. There's reasons.
Yeah.
None of them are good.
That's fine. Reasons are reasons.
I'll be gone next week, so you can't yell at me then.
Okay. So, actually, while we're still talking about full-size pickup trucks and Ford EVs, there was a report that came out on Thursday from the Wall Street Journal that Ford is considering canceling the F-150 Lightning.
I mean, this is Ford's fault.
I don't think I'm surprised that it's. I don't think I'm surprised.
So here's a bunch of things. Here are a couple of thoughts. A, full size truck people still on vroom vroom truck. That's
as we can see with the
that is the person who, that is the person who wants to buy a truck. Ford went cuckoo with the pricing. It was 40, it was 50, it was 60, it was 50, it was 55, it was 40. They went all Tesla on it. They don't have Tesla numbers to be able to do that. I don't know why they did that. Every time they would drop the price, they would announce like, "Oh, it's record sales of the F-150 Lightning," and then they'd raise it like $10,000 or something goofy. And then of course the sales would crash because inconsistency doesn't, So I think it's a really good truck. I think it's a good EV. I still don't understand why we have trucks where I can't see out the front of them, and even though I'm tall. But at the same kind, I think it was very much a decision based on, well, we sell a ton of F-Series, so electric one will probably sell a ton. And they sort of shot themselves in the foot by like messing up any sort of fleet sales by like moving the prices all over the place. Because if you're a fleet manager and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to invest in these trucks. Wait, now it's $10,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm not. No, now it's this. Now I'm seeing a lot of Silverados in fleets, which to me is kind of bonkers because the F-150 and Lightning, the regular F-150 are the same truck. You can shove all the same things on top of it.
All of the upfit equipment that fleets put on their trucks. They can take it right off of a gas F-150, drop it into a Lightning. Plop. It's the same.
It's the same truck. There's there's no difference. I think that's should have worked great for them, but I think their sort of decision around pricing and again, I'll keep saying people who want trucks want vroom vroom truck.
They do. Well, I was looking at the numbers. This is based on the Wall Street Journal article where it was saying that it said they thought they were going to sell 150,000 of these Lightnings. 33,000 was last year's number. And it also has an interesting number in here that says that, everyone's wondering what was going to happen when the EV credit went away. This says total EV sales dropped 24% in October. It makes it a hard business decision to keep doing it right now,
That said, that like everyone's sales went up and then they cratered right after
right.
it. So
there's that crater. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so that's
like,
September to October. I keep seeing articles out there about like, "Whoa, EV sales have dropped." I'm like, well, you're taking into account. No one's taken into account the fact that EV sales
like they
rose
went up
crazy.
So it's like
they went above
coaster.
normal and then dropped below normal.
Yeah,
so the people who would have bought EVs through like the next couple months.
But still, it makes it hard when you're looking when like you've only sold 33,000 of them last year.
Well, this is just a long-term issue with the F-150. I'm talking about
but now you're seeing that because of the EV tax credit going away, sales that had spiked, but maybe didn't spike as much as they needed them to spike to make it worthwhile, have now fallen off a cliff temporarily. It'll come back to a certain point at some point, but you don't know how much they'll come back, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of these sort of like, well, EV sales have cratered. I mean, it's a disingenuous. Those are disingenuous articles as far as I'm concerned. Because if you come out and say in February, like, hey, let's say before they were announced that the EV credit was going away, EV sales were at this percentage, and then like let's say February, March, if those numbers don't come up or they're not steady or whatever, then you're like, okay, we can see where there's an actual correlation between what happened. But when you go from the month where EV sales are like rocketing because people are trying to get EVs before the credit goes away, to the next month be like, oh, they cratered, EVs are doomed. I'm just like,
no, I agree.
That's just lazy journalism.
It just shows you, but I mean I think that still shows. It doesn't indicate which way the market's going. It just indicates the timing of EV purchases this calendar year, basically. But it does make you wonder, like, where is it going to recover to? It's not like it was only a tiny dip. You know what I mean? It was still a pretty big dip. And it makes me wonder how much, like, okay, what's it going to do in another 3 months? Is it going to take 3 months to get back on course to whatever
probably
the normal is?
3 to 6
months.
Maybe by January we'll know. It's January, February, we'll actually know where they're going to sit. I don't know.
Because you have people who like, I was going to buy an EV in like 6 months, and now they're like, oh gosh, I have to rush and buy an EV. So you're talking about people who like were making decisions to purchase things earlier than they anticipated just because they want, $7,500 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's a lot of money. Yeah.
So it's a sort of a skewed number. And again, back to the F-150, that's an anomaly. I mean, that isn't really part of the problem with the F-150. The F-150 problem has been a long-term problem with how it's been marketed, sold, and just the decision to go with a large pickup, which again, I think the F-150 Lightning is probably the best truck for 80% of F-150 buyers.
It's better than a gas F-150 in pretty much every way except towing long distances.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the only flaw.
That's what kills it.
Yeah.
And the towing thing, and a lot of people, you're buying a truck because you need to be able to tow with it. And if you're doing that, it's like an electric truck is not the solution. It's just not. It's not.
But I think the towing, the amount of people actually tow with their truck is relatively small, to be honest. Everyone wants to pretend like they're going to do that big thing. Like I need an EV with 600 miles of range. Okay, buddy, you're going to, unless you're Bill, like the rest of the human race.
Unless you're Bill.
is probably not doing that on a regular basis. But yeah, I regardless, everyone who buys a truck because they think they're going to do these huge home improvements, or they're going to go to they're going to do all these things. I had a cousin who bought a truck to go to Tahoe. He's like, oh, now we can go to Tahoe. I'm like, I'm not going in your pickup to Tahoe. I have a WRX. We're going to take my car. He's like, what about my pickup? I'm like, there's no weight in the back. It's rear-wheel drive. It's a death machine.
And, you could put 1,500 pounds of mulch in the back of a Maverick.
Yep.
Just saying.
Don't. The Maverick is, that's the thing, is the Maverick's such a great little truck. I think it would have made more sense to make that an EV version than definitely more than the F-150
and
Lightning.
That's basically what they're doing with their next generation EVs, is it's going to be a Maverick-sized truck. But, Ford made several fundamental mistakes with the Lightning program. And when they first started planning it, they expected about 25,000 annual sales. By the time that they officially launched it, they had bumped that to 50,000. If they had stayed there, they probably would have been okay. But then within a couple of months after they announced it publicly, and the initial response to it, especially with that $40,000 starting price that they had for the Lightning Pro, they bumped it up again to 80,000 units of capacity. And then a few months after that, they said, oh, okay, we're going to double the capacity again to 150,000 units a year. And they spent a ton of money expanding the facility where they're assembling the Lightning. And then they never got past 33,000 units out of 150,000 units of capacity. And when you have underutilized capacity, that is hugely, hugely expensive. So that was one problem. To what you said about pricing, Robbie, within a few months after they launched the Lightning, you had the invasion of Ukraine, nickel prices skyrocketed, lithium prices skyrocketed, battery costs went up, and so they had to jack the prices up, and they've never gotten back down to where they started. And then the other thing that Ford didn't do and probably in part because they had spent so much money on increasing the production capacity, is that they haven't really done anything to improve the truck over the last 3 years. When they designed it, in order to get it to market quickly, they used a lot of off-the-shelf components that they already have for the gas F-150. So they were fine, they work, but they're not optimized for an EV. And so you didn't get as much efficiency as you could have. You certainly didn't get the cost reductions that you should have. And if they had put some investment into improving and updating those components to take cost out of the manufacturing of the truck, they could have made a better business case for it. But because they didn't do any of that, now you're at a vastly underutilized plant and, slow sales. And so it's probably going to get canceled. And, for Ford's business, that's probably the right thing to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, setting up for so much capacity, just like what? Because I think they were looking at Tesla, which Tesla is right now, Tesla's still the Kleenex of EVs. When people think EVs, they think Tesla. It doesn't matter, and then they're like, well, their market share is only 40% now. Could you imagine anyone having market share for anything in the automotive world that's 40%?
Yeah.
So I think they were looking at Tesla like, oh, well, we could do. And then
of course,
the Cybertruck.
3 years ago, it was 80%.
Yeah.
Well, it was never going to stay 80 forever.
It was never going to stay 80 forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, there's. And Tesla knew this was coming, and if they didn't, I don't know what to tell them. That's just, but it's 40%, 30%. Even if they keep up to 20%, it's still a pretty good market share for a company. But I think they saw that, and they saw the Cybertruck. We can they're going to sell 1 million of those, with not really paying attention to the fact that Tesla says a lot of things and says they're going to do a lot of things, and many of them never come to pass, and those that do come to pass very late. So I think there was this huge excitement, especially when automakers looked at Tesla's stock numbers. And I think a lot of you end up with a lot of startups, you end up with a lot of companies saying, "Oh, we're gonna do exactly what Tesla does." I'm like, well, you need to make something that's better than those vehicles, and you need to make it for the correct market. And if you don't do that, then you're sort of throwing a lot of money away. And like Sam said, if they had said, well, we're going to make 50,000 of these a year, I'm like, all right, and we're going to try to keep work on making sure the price comes back down. But Ford is especially in the last 5 years, notorious for just like, oh, it starts at this and then it goes up to 27,000, 28,000 now for the Maverick, which is a huge jump. And so when you look at that company, you're like, well, if I'm a fleet manager, do I want to invest in this company for these vehicles outside of just the regular F-150?
Yeah.
The F-150 is just solid. They shouldn't mess with it, and they don't. It is the reason Ford continues to excel. It is
the reason Ford is still in business.
It is a cash printing machine, the F Series. That's what that's what 100%. It is. And if you're a fleet manager and you're looking at these F Series trucks, are you going to go with the one where the price goes all over the place, or are you just going to go with the one that you already know? And if it doesn't matter how much someone tells you that the operating costs will be lower over so many years, and you'll be able to when you're looking at an initial outlay, and you're like, well, I don't know what they're doing. And they keep, we're making them. We're not making them. We're making. I mean, that's especially. I mean, now if you're a fleet manager, like, oh, they might stop it. I had no way in hell you would buy an F-150 Lightning. So,
all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Honda Prelude. Nicole, you had a chance to try it out.
I did. I had a chance to try it out at the it's up for North American Car Truck Utility of the Year. It's a car, obviously, but it's up. So they had it for us when we did our drive, and we got to take it for a spin, and I liked it a lot. It was fun. It's very Prelude-y. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Prelude because I learned to drive a manual transmission on a friend's Prelude a zillion years
which generation?
ago. It still had pop-up headlights.
So second or third?
So second or third.
Yeah.
It would have been like it was a long time.
Mid-80s.
because I was having
Every Prelude
panic.
generation is a good Prelude.
I was panicking about trying to do the footwork, and then the turn signal wasn't where I kept accidentally hitting the lights, and I was like boop boop, the bop boop boop boop. Yes, that was my vision my memory of learning how to drive. So I thought it was good. I think they've done some neat stuff with this. I think that it's, the hybrid thing's freaking some people out. And is it really going to be true to Prelude funness? I think it is. I think it's this fun, sporty little car, and I enjoy driving it. Sam, are you going to totally disagree? Did you like it?
No, I thought it was great.
Okay.
And the thing, when I hear people complain, about the hybrid intruding on Prelude funness, the thing you got to remember, if you actually go back and look at all the 5 generations of Prelude, the Prelude was never a hardcore sports car.
Correct.
This is actually the most powerful Prelude they've ever built.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was always like this, like sort of like fun car. It was like
sporty and sleek, and
it was cute, and it was fun, and it was sporty. It looked cool, like it had a cool styling to it. It was kind of a fun car to just own. You're like, oh, you got a Prelude, that's cute. It was never like this super high-powered monster performance.
It's never a
thing.
Z.
Yeah,
no, it was never a Z.
Yeah,
and somehow people are like, oh, it's got a hybrid in there, and I'm like, but. So what?
If you look at the 80s and 90s and Japanese sporty cars, you had the RX-7s and the Zs and the Supras, and then Prelude was never in that class ever. It was always kind of a step down in terms of performance. It was more of a competitor for the likes of the Celica, and the Mitsubishi Eclipse, in the 90s. That's where the Prelude played, and this one is perfect for that. This is actually a really, really good car. It is based on Civic bones. You got the Civic hybrid powertrain, which is a really good powertrain, especially in that size of car. 200 horsepower. It's plenty quick enough. It'll do 0 to 60 in about somewhere between 6 and 6.5 seconds. The S Plus mode. Did you play with the S Plus mode?
I played with things a little bit. Yes.
So, the S Plus mode, when you press the S Plus button on the console, what it does is it's a lot like the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. So you get some sound enhancement, and you get simulated manual shifting and downshifting. And
which it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, it works really well.
Like, because it doesn't always. Sometimes you're like, well, that's just ridiculous, and this one, like, oh my gosh, like it tricks your brain. You believe it, you buy in.
and a key part of the reason why they're able to do that, and also why in the standard mode and the Civic Hybrid, why the Civic Hybrid is so much fun, is the way that Honda does their hybrid system is a little bit different from what you get in a Toyota. Toyota's system has a lot less electrical power. Like in a Prius, it's only the main motor that drives the vehicle is only 111 horsepower. In the Honda system, it's 181 horsepower motor. So really, the way this thing works is it's more like a series hybrid. In fact, probably the closest analog to the way this works is actually the Chevy Volt, the way the Chevy Volt worked. It works in largely the same way. So most of the time, you are actually driving on electricity. And, the only difference from the Volt is the Volt had a big battery, so you plug it in, and the engine wouldn't have to run most of the time. This one, the engine's going to be running, but it's still the electric motor that's driving the wheels. The engine is most of the time is not even connected to the wheels, only at higher speeds, which is basically the same as the way the Volt works. So it's really most of the time works like a series hybrid. And because of that, in most of your driving, the engine is not coupled to the wheels, so you can make the engine do whatever you want and make it rev up and rev down, and you get the blips and the torque interruptions just like when you're shifting.
Yeah.
And so it really does feel authentically like it's shifting, and it sounds good too.
That was it's the thing. It wasn't just the feel of it. They nailed it, and that it's not just one part of it. It's like, nope, you got the sound, you got the feel, which creates that experience. You need all those things to come together the right way and the right balance, or it feels wrong. It feels off. This if someone didn't tell you that it really wasn't needing all those things to actually drive, you think, no, it's doing what it has to. No. It doesn't have to do any of this. Just enjoy it.
The other key part of this car is that it's got the suspension and brakes from the Civic Type R, which means that it's got even better the base Civic handles really well. This is even better. And, I got to drive it on the track at Honda's Tochigi Proving Grounds last week when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
And, the Type R, when you drive that and you trail the brakes going into a corner, you can get the back end to come around a little bit, basically eliminate any understeer that you had. You can really nicely balance it very easily between the accelerator and the brake pedal. You can have it perfectly balanced and do exactly what you want at any moment in time. And this one does the same thing. Honda says they're not going to build a Prelude Type R. I'm not sure I believe them. But the thing is, somebody is going to do it, because you can buy a Type R crate engine from Honda, from HRC, and because the whole front structure is straight out of a Civic, it's got all the same mounting points and everything. You can get a Type R engine and a 6-speed manual transmission and put it into this car shockingly easily. And I'm sure that by next year at SEMA, there will be a Type R powered Prelude on the show floor somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, Honda's notoriously easy to swap engines in and out of. Like that was like a whole and the engines are it's also really easy to work on a Honda. Like every Honda I've ever worked on has been like the easiest, brand I've ever worked on. So that's why, enthusiasts love Honda, because you just I'm going to take this engine out and put a K engine in. I'm going to take this out and put this in. It's just so, like, me and my friends would do it like over the course of like a weekend, rip an engine out, put a new one in. And this is me and my friends. So we're just goofing off most of the time.
So, since the Prelude's already got the Type R brakes and suspension, all you got to do is drop that engine in there. You probably want to swap out the springs, to adjust for differences in weight, but that's about it. That's about all you really need to do. And this could be, a seriously fun sports car.
It's fun it is.
Yeah, I mean, even as it is, it's great.
As is, this thing is a hoot.
Yeah. The price, it's not inexpensive. It's let's see, I don't think they've officially announced pricing yet. But they, at current exchange rates, based on the Japanese price, the price in Japan to US dollars comes out to $41,800.
It's not cheap.
Yeah. But I mean, that falls right in between, a Civic Sport Touring Hybrid hatchback and the Type R. So it's right in the middle between those two. So based on that, it's not unreasonably priced, considering, where the rest of the lineup is. And it's not cheap, but I think, if you're looking for something that is a lot of fun to drive, there's not a lot of 2-doors left out there. You can have a lot of fun with this car, and, it's not crazy expensive, but it's not cheap.
Yeah. But it's
and it's a hatchback.
It's in a range where you go, okay, this is a little bit more, this is a little pricey, but super duper fun. Yeah. Like, you're just going to enjoy it so much.
And with the hatchback, you just fold the back seats down. You got a big cargo area.
Mm-hmm.
It's practical too.
Fill it with candy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fill it with candy. Trunk or treat.
Every time we talk about the Prelude, while you guys are talking, I spend time looking for a first generation Prelude for sale.
You start looking.
Every
time to go shopping.
Single time, and it never works out.
When we sold our Civic back to the dealer we bought it from this summer, when we bought the EV6, we went into the showroom. They had a first gen Prelude sitting there in the showroom. It wasn't for sale, but they had one sitting there. So I think one of the owners,
you were sorely tempted to just drive away with it. They'd never find you. Right?
Yeah. All right. Since Nicole, I think you have about 15 minutes left before you've got to jump.
Yeah,
so
Sorry, guys.
Let's jump to Polestar 4.
Okay.
You and I drove this thing way back in July.
I know. I had to pull up the story. I'm like, I did drive this. What did I think of this?
Again, I drove something the other day that I can't talk. Two things that I can't talk about until March.
That's the worst because you have to take notes on that stuff where suddenly it comes around and you're like, what?
I have to write it during my flight
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
Poland next week because so I just don't forget.
Even though they told us in July that the embargo would probably be sometime in September or October, they didn't even have a date yet.
Nope.
So since we knew it was going to be that far out, I just went ahead and wrote actually 2 different reviews right away to get it while it was still fresh.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I wrote it ages ago. I thought if I don't write this now, I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna forget what I think about this. There's too many cars to just you just can't.
So what did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was good. That one of the things that everyone was weirding out about was the fact that it doesn't have a rear window. There's no rear window, which is a little bit weird because you expect it to be there, and if you intuitively look over your shoulder, is missing. But it has a really good camera rear view mirror, so you get actually a better view technically than you would with the actual rear window.
Have you looked out the rear window of a Volvo C40 or a lot of other cars that have a fastback roofline?
You can't see anything anyway.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, well, it's going to be dark because there's no window, but they have the glass roof, the panoramic, I guess it'd still be panoramic roof, goes really far back. So sitting in the car, unless you look to see that there's no rear view window, you don't know it's missing. Like you really don't notice its loss when you're inside the car. What did you think, Sam?
I agree. I think the lack of a rear window is a complete non-issue. That I don't even care. Because I know some people have an issue with using the digital camera mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
That's never been a problem for me. And so I don't care about the absence of the window because, like I said, and so many cars today, you've got this little slit, because it's so steeply raked, that you have just tiny little slot to see through anyway. And so you really can't see much of anything.
Exactly.
So, I'd just as soon use the digital mirror and be done with it. My problem with the car, and I love the way it looks.
What was it, Sam? I can't guess what you might not like about this car.
I mean, I really like the way it looks. I generally really like the way it drove. The ride and handling was good. The driving dynamics were good. Everything's in the damn touchscreen.
Yep, including our favorite thing, the air vents. Gosh dang it, guys!
When we did the drive, they had a remote Q&A with some of the Polestar folks back in Sweden, and I raised my hand and asked the question, "Why are you doing this?"
And guys, it was kind of like that. It wasn't even like could you explain for me the decision on putting the vents? He's like, why'd you do that? He was very aggressive. It was kind of brilliant.
And needless to say, as usual, we did not get a satisfactory answer.
No. It was sort of this like, well, it's seamless and it's this and it's that and the technology and future. And it's like, none of that.
Lots of buzzwords that mean nothing.
Yeah. Lots of buzzwords that mean nothing. And you know what? I still have not yet met anybody, unless they are working for an OEM who has just done this, that says, oh my gosh, isn't it the best? Don't you love it? Not a single journalist who said it's good. Not a single person who has experienced it in a car has said it's good. Everybody hates it. So why are they doing this? Stop. There we go. There's my review. Stop.
Yeah, and it's not an inexpensive car, but aside from that, it is very pleasant to drive. One feature I really did like that it was a subtle thing, but I think was very thoughtful. Is the heads-up display.
Yes,
the heads-up display has a snow mode.
That's cool.
So if you have spent any time driving in Sweden in the wintertime, you know that there is lots of snow, especially if you're in the north. And most heads-up displays, most of the information that is displayed is in white. And if you've got white information against a white background from all the snow, because what they do in Sweden, in northern Sweden, because there's so much snow, is they don't salt the roads. They plow them, and so if you're driving along these roads in the north, you'll have these 3-4 foot high snowbanks, and the road is just covered with hard packed snow.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's all white. And if your HUD is all in white, makes it not very useful. And so the snow mode on the Polestar 4 switches it from white text to yellow text.
Which is like you said, such a tiny thing, but it does, like, even if you live someplace where it snows in the U.S. and we pave down to plow down to the pavement, there is that moment where everything is just white. First thing in the morning, things haven't completely melted. You haven't gotten any blacktop showing through. It's very white and it's hard to see. To be able to have that little head-up display, and it's not like it's bright, glaring yellow. It's like soft yellow, but it's just enough to give you some contrast against a white background. I think that's just a brilliant little thoughtful touch that they did. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And then let's see. The price, let me get down to where the price was here. I wrote a lot of words about this thing.
I know, we have to look back because it's been so long. I have single motor. Go ahead.
Yeah, the single motor starting at $57,800, including the $1,400 destination charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dual motor is $64,300.
It's a pretty big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Given what we've said about all this, would you, is this something that you would consider?
Okay, I hate the vent thing. So I automatically cross off cars that have vents in the screen. That's a me thing. Some people might not hate it as much as I hate it. If I remove that significant obstacle to my buying decision, I would consider it. Absolutely. But you have to make sure you're okay with that. I know we keep harping on that, Sam, but it's
not a trivial issue.
It's not a small deal. Like if you're looking at a car that has that, go drive it around. Go drive it around and see what you think when you have to reach over and then you have to change it. And the sun's suddenly in your face and you want the AC to blow in your face and now you have to go to the screen to get the AC on your face and you can't, that's a deal breaker for me in any car. It's not even a Volvo thing. I just don't like that. But aside from that, I think it's a good car. I really genuinely liked it. I liked it a lot. So it's sort of a shame that that feature is not great. Would you, Sam? Would you buy it?
I have to say no.
And why wouldn't you buy it?
Primarily because of all the touchscreen controls. I don't like the HMI in this car.
Yeah.
Because I really genuinely liked driving this car.
Me
it was
too.
Quick. It handled well. I really like the design. I like the way it looks. I think it's a good size. This is the size of car that I would like to have.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, it is the size of car that we do have in our garage.
Right.
So, that HMI is it's a non-starter for me. I would not even consider, no matter how good everything else is, I will not consider a car that has that kind of HMI.
How about you, Robbie?
I can't talk about Volvo or Polestar. We got to edit that out now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. There's reasons. There's yeah.
Work-related stuff. Sorry. Never mind. Don't comment. Just be quiet over there.
I'm not allowed to talk about Volvo or Polestar.
Okay. So that means me and Sam get our say, and we 100% say no because of that screen. On every other way, it's a great little EV. I liked it. Mm-hmm. It was just that is just not a good idea.
Oh, and by the way, this is one of those vehicles where, despite the fact that Polestar classifies this as a crossover or SUV, it's not. It's a car.
Yeah.
It's
it's that weird thing now where they give you the coupe SUV thing. They're like, well, we curved it. It's still an SUV, but it's a coupe SUV now.
This is too low. This is way too low a car to be considered an SUV.
Yeah, they will call it that, but it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like a sedan, a car.
Yeah.
It's a coupe, whatever.
I have no issue with that.
Me neither.
I think it's a great form factor.
Mm-hmm. Except for the infotainment situation. And on that note, I'm gonna have to disappear because it's 4:00. Sam, do you need me to? Do I just need to stop? I'm afraid to do anything.
Just leave the browser window open as you walk away, and it'll
just leave it going. I don't hit leave or anything.
You can hit the leave button.
Okay, and
then leave your browser,
but just leave the Riverside window open.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Right.
Bye. Oh, that was quick. Jeez, not even like a.
All right.
Not even a boys to men. It's so hard to say goodbye. Nothing.
All right, let's carry on. So SEMA was this past week, the SEMA show. And I mean, there's always all kinds of crazy stuff at SEMA, but there's one in particular I want to talk about. Toyota had a bunch of stuff that they showed, including a Tacoma, the fuel cell Tacoma H2 Overlander. So
all right, okay, let's just get started off. Toyota makes great trucks. I really enjoy Toyota trucks. I really enjoy the Tacoma. I like the 4Runner. Once they get bigger than the 4Runner, I'm just like, as a person,
midsize is big enough.
Midsize is big enough in my little brain. That said, you make a very good point. You can't go anywhere. That's why you have to live in your truck. It's now a motorhome.
Yeah. Except
no, mobile home. It's a mobile home.
Once you get somewhere, you'll be stuck there
forever.
So the reason why all this is true is what Toyota did was they made an overlanding version of the Tacoma, which is fine.
Thumbs up.
But they put their hydrogen fuel cells in it.
Thumbs down.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point of an overlanding truck is to take it out somewhere remote. Let me just read from the beginning of the press release. Like any responsible camper, the Toyota Tacoma H2 Overlander concept can venture deep to the great outdoors, tread lightly, and leave no traces.
Cool.
So those words "venture deep," in the United States,
it doesn't
right
say
now,
deep and back.
Yeah.
So let's just start right there.
In the U.S., there is a grand total of 50 public hydrogen fueling stations, all in the state of California.
All next to my house.
Yeah. About half of them are next to your house. The other half are somewhere in the LA. Area. But
yeah.
So to put fuel cells into a Tacoma and call it an Overlander and say you can go deep into the great outdoors, it doesn't work. Because, first of all, this thing has a capacity of 6 kilograms of hydrogen. And as an overlanding pickup, that's been lifted, it's got big all-terrain tires on it, it's got a camper on the back, not great aerodynamics. This is, and 547 horsepower. You might be lucky to go 200 miles total on this thing, which means because you basically are most likely going to have to come back to where you started in order to refuel it again, you're talking 100 miles. And then if you actually want to use any of the capabilities, like it has 15 kilowatt power export. So you can, they talk about features of 15 kilowatt power takeoff capable of running something as power intensive as a home off grid, or even charging 2 EVs simultaneously while using dual NEMA 1450 outlets. So if you are using this thing to charge 2 of your friends' EVs, you're going to use up all your hydrogen and you're never going to make it back. So it's kind of pointless.
It's a truck that should have been an EV, to be honest. Or just, an E-Rev. An E-Rev would have been great.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
Because then you have a nice sized battery, so you can do all the cool things that you want to do. Plus, you still have gasoline, and you can charge it. So let's say you get stuck up in the mountains, you run out of battery, you run out of gas. If you have solar panel, yes, it's going to take a few days before you can get home, but you'll be able to start it and move it. And when you're going downhill,
you're going to regenerating
as much as you can. Again, the end of days, whenever people talk about zombie times, zombie apocalypse, EVs are the best vehicles because gasoline, A, no one's going to be refining it. B, the gasoline that's there, it's probably pretty much junk after about a year.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched The Last of Us and you saw, hey, let's siphon some gas out of these vehicles that have been sitting here abandoned for 20 years and put it into this beater that we're driving across the country. Yeah, no, not going to work.
That's not how any of that works. Meanwhile, there'll be a lot of solar panels everywhere that you can just, tap into. They put a bunch of solar panels on top of over the parking lot of the Safeway down the street. And then there's also remember those EA stations I was talking about months and months ago? Yeah, they're still there. They're not open yet. They've just been sitting idle for 4 months. But end of times, I can go down there, rewire it, stick a level 2 charger on there because I have an extra one in the garage because that's who I am apparently. Just plug it in. What I'm saying is buy a book about being an electrician, a hard copy. That way when the system, when society collapses, you can teach yourself how to run your EV while everyone's gas cars eventually die. Or you can go to what's the town in Mad Max? Gastown? Gastown. Duh.
Gastown. Yeah.
Gastown. Or you can find Gastown. One or the other.
But that's in Australia.
Yeah, that's a long drive.
So it's kind of hard to drive there from California or Michigan.
It's mostly ethanol from pigs, right? I think that's
probably, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Gastown. Raggedy Man. The whole, sorry.
So, I mean, cool concept, but
cool.
Far less practical than it seems on the surface.
Toyota really wants hydrogen to happen. I understand why. The fact that, years and years of me getting emails from Toyota and other vendors and Toyota partners about we're going to have X amount of new hydrogen stations in California this year. And then we actually have fewer than we did. It went from 60 to like 50. Again, hydrogen makes sense for long haul trucking. You can build out an infrastructure because there's already an infrastructure there. And then maybe after that, then it spiderwebs out to passenger vehicles because then you already have an infrastructure involved. And Toyota does really cool things with hydrogen at its Pedro port down in Southern California that uses hydrogen in trucks, which makes a lot of sense because they're like, oh, these trucks only they take things from the port, they take it to a place, they come back, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And Hyundai's doing the same thing. The Port of Oakland with their Exient hydrogen trucks, they're doing the same sort of thing. They've got about 3 dozen of those operating out of the Port of Oakland. They've also got a couple, that are running in South Carolina. Georgia, I should say, their meta plant near Savannah that are moving parts back and forth between the factory, the assembly plant, and supplier facilities. But those are being fueled. They're generating hydrogen. I think they're generating hydrogen on site now, and fueling those. And that's not a public fueling station. That's just private to Hyundai for their trucks.
Again, for large trucks, it makes a lot of sense. I think Hyundai showed off a vision of hydrogen stations in the United States that included, essentially not junkyards, the dump, like using the methane that's escaped from the dump in order to create hydrogen. It's a long way off, obviously, we don't hate hydrogen. It just doesn't make any sense for a car. It doesn't make sense for passenger cars now. Give us 20 years.
Especially for an overlanding pickup.
Yeah. But, this truck looks dope, though.
Yeah, it does. Apart from the powertrain, everything else about it is pretty cool.
Like, if they brought it to my house, it'd be fine for me to drive around. And, there's a few off-road places that are close enough to hydrogen that I could use it. But that's just me. I'm the only person. It's me and, a bunch of other Bay Area people who would go to, Hollister to do off-roading.
All right, one more with Toyota. At the Japan Mobility Show last week when I was in Tokyo, I got to see the Land Cruiser FJ in person, and I must say, when I saw the pictures of it, I was underwhelmed. I thought the proportions looked a little odd. It was kind of strange looking. But when I saw it in person, it actually looks a lot better in person than it does in the pictures.
See, I love it in the pictures, so I'm glad I'm not in Japan because I just would have never left.
And it's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's kind of Bronco sized.
Yeah, if you look at if you look at the pictures by themselves, it's like the Ioniq 5 where it looks smaller than it actually is. I've told a lot of people, I'm like, oh, an Ioniq 5's a lot of room. They're like, no, man, I'm 6'2", and I'm not gonna fit. I'm like, I don't think you realize how much bigger this car is than you. If you look at the splash video at the top, there's a person and then there's a bicycle next to the to the vehicle, and that gives you a better idea of the size. But when you look at it in the picture, it looks like the VF3. Yeah. Or the Jimny. It almost looks like Jimny size, and it's definitely not.
Yeah, no, it's much bigger. I mean, it's smaller than the 250 series Land Cruiser, which is the one that they sell here in the U.S. now, and that's also the Lexus GX is based on the 250 Land Cruiser. It's a little bit smaller than that, but it's definitely not, like a little compact. This could be, ideally, if Toyota decided to bring this to North America, if they could potentially sell it for, maybe a starting price, $38,000, maybe reasonably equipped mid-40s, slotted in underneath the Land Cruiser. I think this could do really well.
I think so too. I think it's you're going to see a lot of people who are going to rip off that bumper,
Yeah,
and making it a more capable off-roader than say the current
but
Land Cruiser.
it's already got skid
big.
plates and everything.
Yeah, it's already got all the bits. So yeah, well, I think Toyota's. Most people don't realize that a lot of Japanese companies are actually pretty conservative with what they do. And so, Toyota's not just going to jump into something. Then, but I do believe this has a potential to sell really well here. I mean, they have a SUV that's like 3 inches bigger than they have a trim or a level or an SUV model that's only 3 inches bigger than the one before it. So they have every size now. So they might just do the FJ. I wonder if they're concerned that it would actually cut into the Land Cruiser.
Mm-hmm. It probably would take some Land Cruiser sales away.
It would be 5 years before they do this.
Yeah.
They would have to look at, they want to either establish the Land Cruiser really, really well or see what, if it's not doing as well, it's doing good enough. They're like, well, let's just throw another car in the market because we're Toyota and we can do that. And people are going to buy it because it's Toyota. Because again, regardless of their obsession with hydrogen, Toyota makes really good cars.
Yeah. All right. So while I was in Japan, there's also, besides the Prelude, there were 2 other cars that we got to drive at Tochigi. One was a prototype, although Honda calls it a study, but I mean, this is their next generation hybrid system. And the mule vehicle that we drove, for those not familiar with the industry terminology, a mule is when you take a current generation vehicle and you adapt parts from a next generation model onto that. And, kind of like melding a horse and a donkey, it's a mix of different species, that somehow is made to work. And so, before they have, a complete, prototype of the new generation vehicle to test with, they'll adapt parts from the next generation to the new one. And in this case, the car we drove was based on a current 11th generation Civic sedan, but had some weird camouflage on there and a whole bunch of parts under the skin that, that are from their next generation platform as well as their next generation hybrid system. And so right now Honda's got 2 different variants of their hybrid system. They've got the one that they sell here in the US is their so-called midsize hybrid. And that's in the Civic, the Accord, and the CR-V. And then they also have a small hybrid, which is for some other cars that they sell overseas. And then for the next generation, there's going to be also the large size hybrid. And that's going to go into vehicles like the next generation Pilot, the Passport, the Ridgeline, and the Odyssey. And so, as I was saying earlier about Honda's hybrid system, it's got 2 motor generator units. One that is the primary traction motor that drives the vehicle. The other one mainly just acts as a generator. And the engine is coupled to that generator unit, and it is running that to charge the battery. And then there's a clutch between the engine and the final drive, so that at higher speeds, higher load conditions, you close that clutch and you can have hybrid drive parallel hybrid drive where both the engine and the primary traction motor are driving the vehicle. But most of the time that clutch is open and the engine is not even feeding any torque at all to the wheels. So, for the large size hybrid, the next generation large size hybrid, they're actually going to have 2 clutches in there and 2 sets of final drive gearing. So, they'll be able to expand the envelope where they can also feed in some engine torque to the wheels. So at lower speeds, it'll have one clutch connected to a set of gears for lower speed blended operation, and then the existing one for higher speed operation.
Oh, that's cool.
And then that's going to be paired with a new generation V6 engine. It's based on the engine that's in the Passport now, in the new Passport. A new updated V6 engine, Atkinson cycle. It's also going to have electric rear drive, so a rear e-axle, because the current CR-V hybrid with all-wheel drive uses a mechanical drive. It's got a drive shaft that goes back to the rear wheels. The next generation large hybrid is going to have a rear e-axle instead, so even a little bit more electrical power. And then the other big thing that's changing for Honda's next generation platforms is in the structure. So one of the kind of conventional wisdom for the last several decades is that to optimize handling for the vehicle, you want the chassis structure to be as stiff as possible so that the position of the wheels, the four corners, are not moving relative to each other. And then that way you can have better control. You can, if the structure is not flexing and the wheels are maintaining the same orientation relative to each other, then you can go with a little bit softer springs and dampers and still maintain good handling because it's all going to be more predictable. What Honda is doing for their next generation system is a little counterintuitive. So the structure, so you got the front structure where the wheels are attached and the powertrain and everything's attached. That's going to stay relatively rigid. And then where all that attaches to the central portion of the vehicle, the passenger cell, it's going to be a little bit more flexible than it is today. So that basically, if you can visualize it, it's kind of like the whole front structure can pivot relative to the passenger cell. And under side loads, what this allows it to do is actually put more vertical force on the outside wheel, because the amount of traction that you can get is a function of how much force is pushing the wheel down onto the tire down onto the road, and what the friction coefficient is between the tire and the road. So the more force you can have on that outside wheel, the more grip you're going to have there and better handling. And that's basically what they're doing there. So you got a stiff structure so it keeps the two front wheels oriented relative to each other the same, but you get more grip on that outside wheel, and then it flexes relative to the back half of the car, which is kind of weird. The amount of flex is actually pretty small. They said it's like no more than 1 millimeter.
So it's not like a body on frame where you see like a truck in a cab, like the bed in the cab, like,
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that at all. It's like, barely 1 millimeter. And then, they've also done other stuff with the front structure, to make it stronger in some places, more flexible in other places for crash, energy dissipation in a crash. And they've managed to take a bunch of weight out of it and a bunch of cost out of it. So they say that the structure will be about 10% less expensive to manufacture, and then also weigh about 90 kilograms less. So that's about 200 pounds less than the current structure. And the first vehicles that are going to get this approach are the Zero Series EVs. So starting with the Acura RSX, and then the Zero SUV and the Zero Saloon. And then, all of Honda's next generation platforms are taking this approach. So this Mule that we drove has that kind of structure under the wonky skin. And the other thing that they told us is that all of the next generation hybrids are going to have the S Plus shift mode. So we got to drive this around a handling track a few laps, and you couldn't really tell that there was anything unusual. It didn't feel like it was flexing or anything, but it just handled really well.
Interesting. Honda loves an engineering problem. I mean, and I think there's something I was going to say I'm not allowed to again. But no, the Honda loves an engineering problem, and I think this is, remember the Type R, the last generation Type R came out, and the first time you drove it, and you're like, what wizardry is going on here? How did they do this to understeer? What did they do? What is happening? Who sold their soul to the devil to make this a reality? So yeah, I'll be very interested to see this in the series vehicles and how it works out.
So the zero series EVs are going to have this. So, we'll get to drive those next year. And then probably the next generation Civic, which will probably be out like sometime 27. I think is about the time frame, 27 or 28, and the next generation large vehicles as well in that same time frame, 27, 28 time frame, when those will start to appear. We'll all have this type of approach, along with the next generation hybrid system that is both more powerful and more efficient than the current generation stuff.
Yeah, they should put it in an Element.
They should.
Honda makes they'll put out some crazy weird car that'll do okay, and then it'll go away. And then 5 years after that car has gone away, everyone loses their mind about the car. That's the Honda way. They'll put it out and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And you'll have the people who want it who will buy it. And then it goes away. And then later on, everyone's like, oh my God, that car was so cool. Why didn't I buy that car?
Maybe they won't wait 24 years before they bring back the Element. Although
maybe.
How long has it been? When did the
It's been a
Element
while.
get discontinued?
Let's see. It came out 2009 or 10? No, later.
No, it came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
2002. So it was in production from December 2002 until April 2011. So it's been 14 years, almost 15 years. So it's time for the Element to come back. Yeah.
It's time for the Element to come back. Again, I have right of first refusal when my brother sells his Element.
You going to do an electric retro mod or a resto mod on it?
It's 10 years ago, it was way cheaper to do resto mods.
Yeah.
It's gotten really weird. It's weird how that happened where you're like, oh, when people were just gutting leafs, broken leafs and broken Teslas out of junkyards and it was, you could build one for, $8,000, $10,000. Now, it's $30,000 turnkey. I'm like, what is happening? Why don't I just buy an EV? Never mind.
Yeah. And then finally, the last car that we got to drive at Tochigi, we actually originally were not scheduled to drive. So when we arrived at the Tochigi Proving Grounds last Saturday, we saw the cars parked out there. They had the Prelude out there. And they had, there was also, the Honda Super One that we saw at the show a few days earlier. And, there was actually two different groups that were there at Tochigi. So there was this group of people from North America there was a bunch from the US, a few from Canada, a few from Mexico. And we were only supposed to drive the next gen hybrid and the Prelude. There was also a group of Japanese investors who were there, and they got to drive the next gen hybrid and the Super One. And so we weren't supposed to drive the Super One, but then when they told us, oh no, you guys aren't going to get to drive that one, a bunch of us started complaining and whining and moaning. And,
like children. And yes, I would do. I'm like, come on. What's it going to hurt? Come on.
Hayashi-san, who's the director of the Honda Transformations Division, he saw how enthusiastic we were about trying out the Super One. He said, let's adjust the schedule. We can get him some time in it. And so at the end of the day, after we were done with all the other stuff, we got a short presentation on the Super One. So the Super One, they actually initially showed this prototype at the Goodwood Festival of Speed last June or July, whenever that was. And it was at the time they called it the Honda Super EV. And so this is based on the Honda N1E K car. And K cars, in Japan, they make up more than half the Japanese automotive market. That's because they're small, they're relatively cheap. You in Tokyo, in places like Tokyo and some other big cities, you have to prove that you actually have a place to park your car before you can get it registered in Tokyo. But that K cars are exempt from that because they're so small. And so there's certain dimensional limits for K cars. And there's also, they're limited to for gas ones, they're limited to 660 cc's and they're limited to 64 horsepower. And so, everything has to fall within those constraints. Well, the Super One is based on the N1E, but it has wider fender flares, which means that it's about 100 millimeters wider than the N1, which means that it doesn't technically qualify as a K car anymore.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which means that since it's not a K car, it also doesn't have to be limited to 64 horsepower. And they wouldn't tell us exactly how much power it has. But from driving it, it felt like it was probably somewhere around 75 or 80 horsepower, maybe a little bit more. But the one we drove was right-hand drive. And so traditionally, K cars have not been exported outside of Japan. This one, Honda is planning to export to right-hand drive markets like the UK, maybe Australia, some other Asian countries where they have right-hand drive. There's no plans to do a left-hand drive version of this, unfortunately. It weighs about just over 2,000 pounds, and we got to drive it. And they did kind of the Ioniq 5N thing with the sound and the simulated shifting. So it's got simulated 7-speed transmission. So the S Plus kind of control strategy, but it's all electric. It's not hybrid. It was so much fun to drive. It was hysterical.
So Sam sends us a picture from Japan of him in front of his car, and I've never been more jealous of Sam in my life.
It was a blast. We only got a few minutes with it. We only got a few minutes each with it. But, tossing this thing around, it at the limit, it understeers a bit. And it's not super fast, but it's quick enough. It's exactly what you would want from like a small, sporty runabout. It's perfect. Fortunately, as I said, we'll never get it here because the N1E in Japan is priced at about $17,500 equivalent. So the Super One would probably, because it's not a K car anymore, so it doesn't get the insurance breaks and other incentives that you get for K cars. It's probably going to cost somewhere around $24,000 or $25,000 when it goes on sale in Japan next year. And by the time, if they were to try to make it meet U.S. regulations, you're probably looking mid $30,000 range, and it's probably only going to have about 120 to 140 miles of range at best.
Yeah. You run into the Fiat 500e problem.
Yeah. So it wouldn't make any financial sense for Honda to try to bring it to the U.S. But if you happen to go somewhere, starting in 2026, where they do sell this car, if you go to Japan and you get an opportunity to drive one, I strongly encourage you to try it out because it will just put a smile on your face. It's light, it's nimble, it's quick enough. It's a hoot.
I really had a lot of fun driving the Sakura around Yokohama. He just let me drive it around the road, and it was fantastic, and I had the best time.
And imagine, adding another 20 or 25 horsepower to that.
Oh my gosh.
And bigger tires.
Yeah. It's a little thing about if you do go to Japan, the little Japan, there's a thing where you can it's like Zipcar where you can rent a car and drive it for a few hours and then bring it back. I tried that. It wouldn't work because I didn't have a Japanese driver's license. So if you go to Japan, you have
international
to use a proper
driving permit doesn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. So I had you had to get a proper rental car. But also driving a car in Japan is very expensive. Every time you get on the freeway is monies. It's so it's a very expensive endeavor. Just warning people before you're I'll just go drive.
So you need to find a Japanese friend who can rent one. and then take it out for an hour or two.
Yep.
All right. Let's answer some listener questions and comments. So first up from Andy in Sydney. Question about EVs and 12-volt systems. I understand the need for this arrangement, 12 volts to power lights, wipers, etc. But why have an actual 12-volt battery installed? It seems a few car makers have had issues with their 12-volt batteries, so why persist with them? Is it not possible to somehow siphon off 12 volts from the big battery? Is this just technically difficult, or is there something else at play here? I hate to use the C word, but am I right in thinking that the Cybertruck has such an arrangement? Keep up the good work. So in the case, in all EVs, they have a DC to DC converter. Because batteries put out direct current, not alternating current. And, the high voltage batteries are anywhere from 350 to 800 or so volts, depending on the architecture of the vehicle. And so that DC to DC converter is used to, as Andy said, siphon off some of that power, and it's used to charge the 12-volt battery. So in our EV6 that's sitting in the garage, if we go out in the garage and you happen to notice a little yellow lamp on top of the dashboard that's blinking, that means that it's currently charging your 12-volt battery through the DC-DC converter. And the Cybertruck, they did get rid of the battery entirely. Most of the Cybertruck's low voltage stuff is actually running at 48 volts. They also have stuff that runs at 12 and 5 volts, because like the computers and stuff actually run at 5 volts, not 12 volts. So they did dispense with the battery, with the low voltage battery. It is possible to do that. The challenge is before you for safety reasons, when you're not using the low voltage system, the reason they typically have the 12-volt battery is to power things like the systems that detect your keyless entry system, your key fob, and assorted other bits and pieces, and being able to power up the computers to boot up the car when you first get in there. And for a system like the Cybertruck, without a battery, basically you have to keep the contactors for the high voltage battery open all the time. So it's constantly got to be open to the high voltage circuit. In cars that have a 12-volt battery, when it's not charging that battery, the contactors open up, so there's no energy flow from the high voltage battery to the rest of the car. So it should be, in theory, a little bit safer. And then only the 12-volt battery is engaged to power these auxiliary systems.
It's also, it's a lot of work to do all this stuff, and they already have suppliers that are giving them, that they buy 12-volt batteries at for pretty, inexpensive relative to like what we have to pay, because, they're Ford, GM, Honda, Toyota, whoever. So when you look at the problem, you're like, well, we want people to be able to get in and out of their car just in case the battery dies.
Yeah.
And we already have a system that works.
As long as we can keep that low voltage battery charged.
Yeah, as long as we can keep it charged, why don't we just keep doing that thing? It's sort of, it's like the path. It's almost the path of least resistance. This works. Let's not mess with it. Except for when it doesn't, when the Hyundai Kia issues where they were draining the batteries, that was not great, because then you get out and you couldn't start your car. It's even your 76 kilowatt hour battery pack was fully charged. If the 12 volt wasn't working, it's like, oh, man. It's like if you have a TV,
no way to boot up the computers.
Yeah, it's like you have a really fancy widescreen television, but there's no power switch on it. And so while it's plugged into the wall and it's ready to go, if your remote doesn't have like 2 AAA batteries in it, you can't turn on your television. It's like almost like that situation.
It's pretty much, yeah. All right. Also from David S. Said, on this week's podcast, you mentioned that Tesla was testing autonomous driving vehicles in Austin. Actually, it was in Austin for a couple of days this week, and I had signed up for the robo-taxi thing. I was hoping to try it out. But I was still on the waiting list and never got a chance to try it out. Anyway, last week while driving from South Austin to the UT Austin campus, we were on the South Lamar Bridge when a Tesla sedan with no one inside passed by. There was no visible signage on the car indicating it was a test vehicle. In Austin, almost every fifth vehicle you pass is a self-driving Waymo. There were a lot of those in Austin, and some Zoox cars as well. They're clearly marked as self-driving vehicles, however, not the Tesla fleet. And the thing is, with the Waymos and the Zoox cars, even if they didn't have any markings on them, you can tell by all the sensors all over the car.
Yeah.
I don't know about the particular vehicle you saw, and if this was one of Tesla's test vehicles as opposed to one that they're actually operating the service with. As far as I know, all the ones that are operating the service, the so-called robotaxi service, they have a robotaxi graphic on the side, on the doors. It's pretty subtle, and depending on the color of the car, you may not notice it. But that's, other than that, the rest of the car is stock Tesla Model Y. So it wouldn't be immediately obvious. And if you didn't notice the robotaxi graphic on the lower side of the front doors, you may not realize what it is unless you looked over and saw nobody in the driver's seat.
It's interesting. Like there's an SAE standard coming. SAE, was it J? Yeah, J3134. And the idea is you have these like blue lights. Now, if you look on the
turquoise lights, the
turquoise. So if you look at the Mercedes started using on the S Class that has the level 3, and then when we went to New York to look at the IQ, Escalade IQ is supposed to have a level 3, in 27, 28, I forget the year, a while from now. 28. Those also, that vehicle also had those turquoise side lamps. And the idea is that as a driver, passenger, bicyclist, whatever, you can very quickly look at a vehicle and identify it as something that's driving autonomously. So you wouldn't have to worry about like, oh, does it have signage on it? Does it have this? Or like maybe this was a test vehicle that didn't have any signage. I think for the average person on the road, it's important to know how that vehicle is being driven, whether it's being driven by a human that you make eye contact with, or if it's being driven by a computer with a human, 6 miles away with a joystick or whatever. But either way, I think it adds an extra bit of safety and understanding of what you're sharing the road with, so that you can drive or react in a way that makes sense for you as a human who doesn't want to get hit by an autonomous car.
Yep. And then finally from Vitali, and thank you, Vitali, for giving us a pronunciation guide for your name. So if you write in, if there's any question about how your name might be pronounced, please give us some help. We will do our best to pronounce it correctly,
like Sam's last name.
Yeah. Anyway, so longtime listener, fan, I was served this ad, and he provided a link to an Instagram ad for an armored Volvo XC90 while scrolling through Instagram, and I was surprised this exists. I suppose I never think about armored cars, though. I have so many questions, such as, how many consumer channel vehicles are actually offered as armored variations? Is this an actual thing in the industry? Yes, usually it's like high-end luxury cars. Like BMW offers armored versions of the 7 Series, and I think the X5 and X7.
Yeah, I saw the X5 in Germany, armored version.
Mercedes-Benz offers armored versions of several of their models, like the S-Class and I think probably the G-Wagon and GLS. So typically, some high-end vehicles do offer. You can order them, through the manufacturer. You can order armored versions. I don't know if they're always necessarily built on the same assembly line, or if they send them somewhere else to be armored. But yeah, it is not uncommon. Land Rover also does armored versions of Range Rovers. So they are out there, usually on high end. Do you guys ever get to see or get to drive them?
I've never driven one, but I've seen them. And like up, like they showed us the BMW one. They lifted it up like on the side so we could see underneath it and all the plating and everything and the glass. And it was really cool. It was really, it's one of those things like, oh, this is a cool thing. I'm not head of state, so I'm okay. I don't need it, but it's kind of cool the way they do it.
Yeah. I've never driven one either. I've seen them at auto shows, but never driven one. So what's the experience like? Are they significantly heavier and slower? Are the mechanicals reinforced to accommodate the extra weight and whatnot? Other differences? They are heavier.
Very heavy.
Like the armor might add, in some cases, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds to the weight of the car. So that means, they've got to use tires with higher load ratings. They've got to have bigger brakes.
Springs.
Update
the whole
the suspension components. Yeah, all kinds of things need to be upgraded to accommodate all that extra weight. Who's the target market for this? I have no idea why the ad was served to me. Well, that's pretty standard for Instagram ads. But it seems like Volvo's trying to target some kind of retail customer for this car outside of specialty security circles. If you live in war zones like Portland, you might want one of these.
That one block where everyone's ready, those inflatable costumes, whew, dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, the target market is going to be, the heads of state, political figures, maybe some CEOs, really big companies, things like that. For
anyone who's ever angered a lot of people.
Oh, maybe I better get one.
Yeah. And so journalists,
yeah,
every journalist.
What's the destination fee for all that beefed up armor? If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah. I think the destination fee is probably the same, but the car is so much more expensive that the destination fee doesn't even count.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter anymore. They're like, you know what? We're gonna waive the destination fee. Here's $300,000 in armor.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to waive the glass. The glass has to be bulletproof.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, yeah.
Any other experiences or insight you may have with this category of vehicle? Not beyond what we've just said. So that's all
they
I've
don't.
got.
I think they don't. I think for the most part, they try to keep a lot of the information about these vehicles just a little bit close to their chest. Just if you share, the more information you share, the more information that's out there that allows someone to exploit something. That's my OPSEC, idea about these. You don't need to, you don't, the fact that it was on an Instagram ad is bonkers to me. Because, the people who need these are looking for these.
Yeah.
That's what it comes
They know
down
where
to.
to look.
Yeah. They know that they know a guy.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, after we say goodbye, there is also an interview that Nicole recorded a couple weeks ago with Omer Waysman from Michelin. So we'll have that on at the end here. But before we say goodbye, Robbie, it's November, and I know usually in November you do something to raise some money for those that maybe in need, maybe food insecure. You want to talk about that? Are you doing that again this year?
Yeah. I usually do it in October. We didn't.
That was November.
We did because we do Taco-tober, and then part of Taco-tober is that we also. So the idea was I have a band, and it's called Drastic Cats. And if you donate more than $50 to Feeding America, and you give me, if you tell me, send me a link or via Blue Sky or email or whatever, we'll write a song about you. We don't have to know much about you. You can share some information about yourself. So that helps because sometimes it's people I know, but sometimes it's people I have no idea who they are. And they'll just take one person oh, I just bought a new computer. So we just wrote a whole song about a computer. And so, yeah. So, well, if we're talking about it, I might as well do it. So, yeah. So I think if you, talk, I'll set it up and send you a link you can put in the show notes for it. But it's, yeah. So as I grew up really poor. We were very few insecure. There are photos of me as a child where I looked like a skeleton child. And so it's, to me, it's, we've been doing this for years. I think now it's more important than ever with the sort of insanity of SNAP benefits. And, I will occasionally meet somebody who doesn't believe that there are people in this country who go hungry at night, who go to bed without food, who kids especially, who and I remember like not having food, especially in the summer when you don't have like that free lunch at school that we had. So it is a real issue. It continues on. And if you want to send, some money, then I will write a song about you. I will wrangle in the other guy from Drastic Cats. It likely will not come out in November. It takes us a little while because the whole deal for this is that we write and record a song in about an hour. But it's always best if we come in with some ideas, maybe a melody, maybe a guitar riff, one of them was just a drum beat that I have. And I'm like, what's this? How's this sound to you? And then the other person in the band, he came up with this really great, guitar riff for it. And so then we wrote a song about Saturday morning cartoons. That was because it was about somebody had said it. They wanted to be about their kids and their love of Saturday morning cartoons. So Feeding America, I will set it up now, and we can put a link in the show notes, and I will warn Michael Calore. He's an editor at Wired. He's the other person in Drastic Cats that we need to get the band back together, because we haven't done an album in 2 years, and we still owe music from last year. So here we go. Let's do this.
All right. And, also, if you have a local food bank, as Robbie mentioned, a lot of people haven't gotten their SNAP benefits this month because of the government shutdown. Reach out to your local food bank, see what they need. A lot of times, they will have a list of the stuff that they need donated, or, just give them a cash donation. That also helps.
Cash is best because they have better buying power than you do. So like the $1 that you spend on a can of peas, they could buy like 5 cans of peas with that $1. So it's always best to send them cash.
Yeah. Last week, my wife and I went, we got the list from one of our local food banks, and we went to Costco and got about $400 worth of stuff and took it over there. So, check out what your local food bank needs, and help out people who aren't getting fed.
Yeah. And if you have time, they're having, some of them are looking, because they fill boxes for people who are coming by to pick it up. Sometimes they need people to help just fill boxes.
Volunteer,
so
or
all day,
stuff.
you're just, couple hours, you're just putting things in boxes and getting it ready for the next person, or you're handing stuff off, or you're checking off a list. Just whatever you can do if you can afford it, but if you have some time, or if, just whatever, if you can. And if you can't, I completely understand. I've never wanted to guilt anyone into doing anything, just because, again, growing up without, money or time is like really sort of wires your brain in a weird way where you're like, okay, I understand. It's cool. Being poor is very expensive. You have no idea. If you've been fortunate enough to grow up without being broke all the time, you don't think about it, but like being poor, like a traffic ticket or a parking ticket can like throw off your entire month. You're like, well, now we don't have money for this. So yeah, being poor is extremely expensive.
Yeah. And then one other thing that I participate in is a project called Operation Frodo, which our friend Nick Miles started organizing several years ago. We found out that in Nebraska, for example, at the end of hunting season in the fall, a lot of beagles get abandoned. Hunters will, if the dogs were not productive enough, they will just abandon them. Sometimes they'll just shoot them out in the woods. Sometimes they'll turn them into shelters or rescue organizations. And so we work with a rescue organization in Omaha to transport dogs to homes on the West Coast where there are people looking for dogs to adopt. And so coming up in mid-December, we have the next edition of Operation Frodo, where we get some press vehicles that are loaned to us by automakers, and they also provide cash donations to help pay for the fuel and food and supplies for the dogs and hotel rooms. And we drive from Omaha to Denver to Salt Lake City to Boise to Portland. Last year we transported 23 dogs to permanent homes. And we're going to be doing it again this December. And so there's a link in the in the show notes as well for that. If you want to make a little donation to help out with that operation. And right now I'm actually working on organizing the next one, which is going to be in the spring, probably late May, early June, when we're going to do it, and use all EVs for that one.
Cool.
So that should be an interesting challenge.
I have told Nick that I'm going to do it every year, and every year it's never worked out. And so I'm glad you're doing it, because I would just be like just cuddling with puppies the entire time. I'm like, oh, you guys can drive. I got to keep track of these dogs.
Well, somebody's got to cuddle the puppies.
Someone has to cuddle the puppies.
So yeah, last year we had about 20 automotive journalists that took part, and we went in shifts and driving from the middle of the country to the West Coast, and made a lot of dogs got better lives and happier families. So all right, now we'll say goodbye and continue listening to Nicole's conversation with Omer Waysman from Michelin. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, everyone. So I had the chance to attend the Petit Le Mans in Atlanta with the folks from Michelin. And I have here with me Omer Waysman, trying to say his name right. And he is the VP of Marketing North America B2C for Michelin. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
No, hi, Nicole. Thanks for having me. I am super looking forward to our short discussion today.
Yes. So one of the things that this sort of struck me when I was at the event, they took us on a tour and we saw the pits and the number of tires that they go through. It's a huge number of tires. It's not a small number. But they're all tires that are really specifically designed for racing. And I'm wondering why for Michelin, the effort for those tires, how does that translate for consumers? Because no one's putting those tires on their Toyota Camry.
No, you're right. For Michelin, motorsport has always be a very important place. First of all, it's in our DNA because motorsport is the center of excellence for our innovation. And when you look at our purpose, we want to be and to develop the best possible tires, no matter the usage, no matter who is the end user of it. And so when we have decided, obviously, to accelerate our presence into the motorsport industry, the first objective was to make sure that we develop the best possible tire for a racer. And obviously, if you develop the best possible tire for the race, that tire and that technology will help you to develop the best possible tire for the street. So having the best combination between the grip, between the traction, between the wear, helping you actually optimize your performance within a race will obviously help us get all those insights and all this technology into our street tires. So the first really reason is this center of excellence of innovation. The second reason is our sustainability effort. I think that you had the chance to be exposed to the new tire line that we are going to launch in 2026, the Pilot Sport Cup 2 endurance, which is made with 50% of recyclable and renewable material. So we try as much as possible to have, again, the racing industry with the sustainability goals. A second element within the sustainability goals is all of our AI simulation. So what we try to do as much as we can is to minimize the time on the road to test the tires. So thanks to AI simulation, we are able actually to take those tires, to model those tires within the right cars, and then to test it under all the different conditions. And so we don't have to go every time, to the track, then to rebuild the mold, then to rebuild the tire. We can really adjust it very quickly. So one, we are obviously being way more sustainable. And two, in terms of go-to-market and the time between the launches of product is shrinking. So that's actually a great laboratory for us to be even more active in our sustainability goals. And last but not least, and I hope you saw it, the connection with the consumers. Those people that are so passionate about racing, when you talk to them about the tires, Nicole, I have to say, I'm only 3 years in the industry. But when I had the chance to sit in some of the table talking with passionate consumer of Corvette about how the tire affect their driving and how they're so happy with that, it's just mind-blowing. And you saw so many people coming into the fan zone. So it's a great way for us as well to express the why Michelin and why we feel that we produce and provide to our consumer the best possible tires. And so the combination of the three is why do we want really to continue and be present. And that's why we extended our IMSA partnership for 10 additional years.
So for the sustainability part of that, which when you think about tires, I mean, you see tires disposed of in places, it's a separate place at the dump. Like it's a big deal trying to dispose of tires. So making them more sustainable, how you've used recycled materials. How about in terms of wear, like, and the ability to say, once that tire is done, what do you do with it? It's not hard on the environment.
So you are totally right. That's a key point that we try to tackle. One of the promise that we have as a company is obviously to extend the wear that we can have for our tire line. And if you look at our major tire lines today, so if we take the Defender tire line, the Cross Climate 2 tire lines, they are lasting on average 25% more than our major competitor. 25% to 5. It's huge. It can go up to 2 years of additional wear that you have with the Michelin tire. And it's compared to major competitors that are actually premium players. And I think it's so important for us to be proud of that, because that's really something that we are working and all of our team are working so hard to make sure that from the first mile to the last mile, you have the same performance. So it's not only about the wear, but it's about the wear within the performance, making sure that you have the best performance from your tire from the first mile to the last mile. And that's something that we are very attentive to, because in terms of the overall cost, we know, tire are a big part of the total cost that we have for cars. But if you are managing to have an additional 1 year, 18 months, 2 years with the same performance without actually having any issues to your safety or to your driving habits, that's great also for your bank account. So at the end of the day, we are trying as much as we can to have this magical formula between optimizing the wear and optimizing the performance within the wear.
And something I just want to touch on, because you're the tire expert, and as we just mentioned, I live in New England and winter is coming. The optimized wear, the optimized performance, how important is putting a winter tire on your car when it gets cold?
I mean, it's there's something in French you can say that one image can describe 1,000 words. And I think that when you have the real feeling, when you go actually into a winter condition and you don't have the right tires, trust me, when you go once, you don't want to go again. And so I think that I can obviously tell you how much I believe in that from a security standpoint, etc. But if I want to be real, if you experience it once, you just don't want to get into this situation again. And that's why, our Cross Climate 2 tire line is obviously for an all-weather situation, helping us being able to have the same performance across the different conditions, if it's for winter or summer. And obviously, if you are in an extreme winter condition, then you can go with a specific and a tailored winter tire. So we try as much as we can in our different portfolio of tire line to have the right tire line for the right condition, but also to have those choices for the consumers, because at the end of the day, we are here for safety and to make sure that the driver are having a smooth drive with our tire lines.
And as far as understanding tires, because there's a lot more to it, like they're not the most exciting looking part of your car, right? They're the black pieces of rubber that we don't think a lot about tires. What if you could give consumers one really good piece of advice, like this is what you need to do to make sure that you are driving on the tires that are right for you and your vehicle? What would you give consumers?
So that's a good question. The first thing I would say, be curious. Be curious and try to get the most information that you can. Obviously, we implemented a new immersive experience, Nicole, and I invite you to go and see on our michelinman.com website, where you can really play and have a gamification that helps you also understand what tire line do you need for what usage. And so we try really, and we saw a huge engagement for new generation, actually. They don't necessarily want us to talk to them as we've been talking to consumer about tire before, but really try to have more dedicated about usage. And what can I do with this tire? It's not only a necessity. It's also about the pleasure of driving. And we see it more and more. I was talking about this notion of pleasure from the Corvette drivers, but more and more, the more you'll be exposed to premium tire, the more pleasure you might get, even without noticing when you're driving, the quiet that you can get. So all those elements are so important to get educated on, to understand, what do you really want from your tire? You want the wear, but you also want the right grip. You want to make sure that you are driving safely. And those elements are important, I would say, from an overall standpoint. So just going to our website, to our different touch points, trying to get familiar with what we are producing, with what we're producing, and the attention that we pay to detail and the innovation that we put into a tire. That's what I guess we are most proud about is every tire that we are taking out of our plant is checked individually by every employee at the plant to make sure that we have the best possible tire going out of the plant to the street. So just that.
Just that. And what do you think the next big thing that you're gonna that you're excited about for Michelin in terms of your next? There's always some new product, some new idea. What are you most excited about?
That's a good question. I would say I'm very excited about the new partnership that we have with IMSA, the extension of our partnership for our until 2035. I'm super excited about the new tire line that you saw. Also about the design of this new tire line. I don't know if you pay attention to it, but it's really a breakthrough design. So it's not only as you said, the old black, I would say, round. It looks pretty nice. I like it, to be honest. And I think that's something I'm excited about. And definitely our action in terms of leading the way in terms of sustainability. And Nicole, it's an important one. We are within the tire industry, within the racing industry, and the fact that we race for change, that's something I'm excited about. It's all the small effort that we put together into driving the next mobility of tomorrow to be more sustainable and to be closer to our consumer expectations. So overall, I'm definitely excited about the next things that are coming. Some of them I cannot share with you today. I promise that I will. So we'll talk in the next few months. We have some great news, and hopefully those great news are going to be appealing as well for our consumers and partners.
Excellent. So, well, Omer, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next secret things that you won't tell me right now are. Take care.
Again, Nicole. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key. And that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.